Hey everyone, Jeff Risen here with the Daily DLP. We are on location today. I will spin this around a little bit. I'm in the iHeart Studios, downtown. Thanks to the guys here for letting me sit in the room and record this one. Got a couple things that are going on today. It is February 6th. It's Friday. Glad you made it to the weekend. Just as a quick update, I will have a daily tomorrow on Saturday. I will not have one on Super Bowl Sunday, and then we will be back at it on Monday. I just don't like doing them on Sundays. It's game days. It is the last game day. But biggest thing that happened in the last, well, there's been a couple things that are pertinent for Lions fans in the last 24 hours or so. First off, we have a tight ends coach. They stayed in-house. They hired Steve Oliver. He has been promoted from the assistant offensive line coach to the tight ends coach, which is a move that was not entirely unexpected. He's been with the Lions for 5 years. This will be his sixth season. Former offensive lineman, played at the University of San Diego. I'm not sure if he played there with Tanner Engstrand or not, but he's who's got some experience there. He has been known primarily for working with the offensive tackles and working with, among others, Penei Sewell, Giovanni Manu, Colby Sorsdal when he was playing tackle. He is a guy that is pretty well respected and was a guy who was certainly an early consideration, especially if they were house. I wasn't sure what they were going to do, honestly. Were they going to look outside? Were they going to bring in somebody with Drew Petzing or Mike Kafka, the guys who had worked with them in the past? But they stayed in-house. Steve Oliver is the new tight ends coach. That leaves one opening, and that is as the assistant offensive line coach. Dan Skipper, come on down. I would be, at this point, a little bit surprised if he's not the coach. Just from the feedback that I got from people who watched him down in Frisco at the Shrine Bowl, my friend Owen Reese worked with him quite closely down there. Owen did a great episode recap with us a couple weeks ago from the Shrine Bowl, where Skipper coached tight ends and offensive linemen. He was there a day after he retired from the Lions. That sure makes a lot of sense. He knows the team. He knows what they want to do. He knows Coach Hank Fraley quite well, the offensive line coach. So that one seems to be like, okay, let's make this happen. Let's get it out of the way. Let's get it done. So the entire coaching staff is up and ready to go well before the combine, which is at the end of this month. Other thing that went on, and this is Lions adjacent, there's a lot of people that like to still fancy Matthew Stafford. And congratulations, you won the MVP. He won a very close vote over Drake May, somewhat controversially because Sam Monson decided to vote for Justin Herbert, and that wound up being margin that was needed for Stafford to hold on over Drake May. Certainly not that Stafford wasn't deserving. Had an incredible season. 37 years old. He is the oldest first-time winner. And look, I'm not going to tell you how you should feel about Matthew Stafford as a Lions fan. There are still a lot of you who love him. There are still a lot of you who don't want anything to do with him. They don't care. There's nothing wrong with either of those viewpoints. I will just say, as somebody who watched him toil in Detroit for a very long time and who has an appreciation for what he's done and all that he's overcome, I'm happy for him. It's nice to see the validation. It will help his Hall of Fame candidacy, which I think, look, if he plays 2 more years, he's only going to have 2 people on the passing charts ahead of him in terms of yards and probably touchdowns. He is putting up that sort of historical legacy. Getting an MVP now, he's got a Super Bowl. That's it's going to be very difficult to keep him out of the Hall of Fame, quite frankly, and I do think that's a good thing. In a way, it shines a spotlight on the potential that he had with the Lions, and with Calvin Johnson and Ndamukong Suh and Golden Tate, Reggie Bush. I really love that team, and it's frustrating that team didn't win more. And I think this shows that Stafford wasn't the reason why they didn't win it. and that's a good validation for him. It's kind of cool seeing his daughter's grown up a little bit, at the NFL honors ceremony. I'm happy, and I would encourage you to be happy for Matthew Stafford as well, even if it doesn't mean anything to you, because he's a Ram now and has been a Ram for a long time. Jared Goff's our guy now. The other thing that came out of the NFL award was they did the inaugural Protector of the Year. And Penei Sewell was one of the finalists, and he didn't get it. That's a little frustrating because he has been regarded by most O-line metrics, as the best offensive lineman in football. He's not necessarily the best pass protector, though. And that's, I think, where we lose a little bit. He is without a doubt the best run blocking right tackle in football, best run blocking offensive lineman in football. Pass protection, there are guys who are a little bit better than him. He's not perfect. And I think that cost him a little bit. It was a little frustrating that it went to a bear. Yeah, don't like that at all. Especially a bear that gave up a sack to Tyleik Williams. Just saying. So Penei did not win it. And I don't know. Hopefully he wins it next year. Hopefully this is fuel to his fire, although he's not really a guy who's like that. He's very accepting of what he is. All kinds of stuff going on. Jim Schwartz, former Lions coach, to go back to the Lions adjacent things, resigned as the defensive coordinator from the Cleveland Browns today. For a great laugh about that, just read anything Cleveland related. Without throwing him out. Schwartz is something that they're going to have to deal with. Don't think it's the right move, but so instantly, the Patreon Slack, the Detroit Lions podcast, which is fabulous investment, gets you out of being on social media. You actually get access to us and a Lions-only chat. You don't get interlopers unless there's some Packers or Bears fan who wants to pay $5 a month to get in and heckle people, which I guess that's their prerogative. I'd rather spend my money elsewhere, but if you want to spend it on us, go right ahead. But I digress. Yeah, Schwartz is in high demand, obviously. As a defensive consultant, you can't hire as a DC right now because Kelvin Shepard's here. All the DC jobs are filled, basically, around the league. And everything that I've heard from my sources in Cleveland, going back for a couple of weeks now, in clear, Jim Schwartz was not going to be staying there, is going to coach in 2026. He is going to take the year off, reevaluate his options, evaluate if he wants to be a head coach again. Does he want to keep grinding as a defensive coordinator? Does he want to do media? He is an interesting cat with a different style of presentation and perspective, and I think that might actually be good in media. So we will see what goes on with him. But look, it'd be fantastic to have Jim Schwartz back. My goodness. Oh, my goodness. That would be, to borrow from one of our old bits here on the Detroit Lions podcast, a pants-free option. Yes, but I wouldn't get any hopes up for that at all. Maybe 2027, if Kelvin Shepard winds up getting a head coaching job elsewhere, and you better believe that they're going to come calling again because that's of his leadership, his organizational skills, and the fact that he actually is perceived around the league as having done a pretty darn good job last fall with a dilapidated Lions secondary. They were, again, go back to the bye week, for a top 8 defense when they were healthy. And the entire secondary got hurt, and they fell off badly. I think that Kelvin Shepard, as a rookie coordinator, did a pretty good job, certainly worthy of respect. And I'm looking forward to what he can do in 2026. Hopefully he's learned from some of his rookie mistakes, because he did make quite a few, unfortunately. And that's not to absolve him of, blame for some of the schematic issues that got away from them a little bit. But I'm still excited that he's here. I'm glad he's here. We'll get into the prospect of the day now. And this is one I actually had to look up how to say his last name. Max Iheanachor. I Had to practice it a few times. Had a Nigerian friend of mine help me out with that. He is of Nigerian descent. He plays right tackle for the Arizona State Wildcats. Sorry, Arizona State. Oh my God. Woo! Sun Devils. My bad, ASU folks. That's a bad one on my part. I apologize. Senior Bowl standout. That's where he got on my radar and made me go back and watch more of him because I had him in the 150 to 175 overall range as I was initially listing out guys. And what I saw at the Senior Bowl forced me to study him a lot closer. And the biggest thing with him is that he hasn't played a lot of football, but the preseason take that I had on him, because he was on watch lists, and that's sort of where you focus these things when you're going into the summer. We'll get to that this summer. It wasn't that great, honestly. Like, there was a lot of athletic potential, but he hadn't really put it all together. And just watching his progress from the beginning of 2025 to the end of 2025, he got a lot better. And also then showed at the Senior Bowl, like, the upside is very much there for him. So I was very impressed by Iheanachor. And there he is, 6'5" and 5'8", 325 pounds. He's got arms over 34 inches long, officially measured at the Senior Bowl. Good athlete. Watched a handful of games, and I did go back and watch the Texas game from 2024 to give me sort of a baseline because that was where I was going off of. And he did not have a good game in that game, just to put that out there. But he got a lot better in 2025. And even as the progression of games went through from late September through November, dude improved. And I like seeing that because this is a guy who did not play a lot of high school football. Didn't have a lot of football background. He was a basketball player. Funny how that works, huh? Sounds a little bit like a couple of the other guys we've talked about, including Giovanni. So ridiculously light on his feet for being 325 pounds. And he moves very well in space. I love his slide shuffle ability to get to the outside, to wall off an outside rush from a wide nine or a wide outside stance, guys that aren't lined up heads up on him. Really, really good, clean footwork on it most of the time. It is a bit of an adventure. And if you look right here at the bottom, because the first con, function over form with inconsistent footwork. There are times where it's spectacular, and there are times where it's like, oh my God, have you not played football before? And it's frustrating. The good thing is that he's got enough functional athleticism at his size that he can recover when he makes a mistake most of the time. His inside hand is really good. Like how he uses that to when somebody tries to cross his face, he's pretty good about using that inside hand to anchor a little bit. Does get tall on his anchor, but there's some decent strength to him. The one thing that I don't like when he does anchor, he tends to push up and back and arches his back some. There's a lot of guys that do that. There is a technique to it, and I don't know what that's called. I'm not an O-line guru like that, but it's an interesting way of doing it. It's almost the way, and we'll talk about Caden Proctor from Alabama, and I talked about him in an earlier episode, is facilitating of a guy who catch blocks a little bit, intentionally exposing your chest to get that, to absorb it. And basically it's a time delayed tactic, but it does lead to guys that with some quickness. Aiden Hutchinson is great at doing this against guys who can get into your pads and then push off and go around you. And that is an area where Max is vulnerable, but did very good. The signature game. There's a lot of y'all Lions fans that love David Bailey as a pass rusher. He got one pressure against Max. Romello Haight shut out in that game. Great game from Max against Texas Tech. A very incredibly pass rush heavy defense, and he handled his business very well. Does get out into space. and has a seek and destroy style, but it's not always with malice. And one of the things that I personally, this is me, I like my linemen to have some snarl to them. I like it when Dan Skipper goes out there and tries to rip off your head and crap down your neck. Taylor Decker has some of that. Penei, you better believe, has a lot of that. A lot of the great tackles have that. It's not necessarily who Max is. He flashes it at times when he's fired up, but in general, he's not that kind of competitor. And I would equate that in Lions speak. I'm not sure that they're going to find it unappealing, but I think that there are going to be other guys of similar draft range, which is day 2, or maybe he sneaks into the bottom of the first round, but I see him as a second-round pick and a good potential second-round pick. The other thing with him, right tackle only. He's only ever played right tackle like his entire life. And the way he plays, the way he's upright, the way he doesn't necessarily push people as much as his foot frequency as a run blocker is very nice. But if he doesn't have that, he's not moving a lot of people. He's not exceptionally strong in the upper body. Just not going to torque his shoulders or anything like that. He's a guy that needs to keep the feet churning. You can't see my feet because they're down here, but I'm churning my feet as I do this. He's really good at that. I think that portends much better as playing tackle than guard. So you're taking a second-round right tackle only, which means that you're relying on moving Penei Sewell to left tackle, which, all things being equal, I want Penei as my right tackle, but I have zero issue with moving him to the left side because I think he'd be great over there too. But it does limit your options with your offensive line. And if that's something that concerns you, you're probably not going to like Max Iheanachor as much as you would some other guys. So that's today's prospect of the day. Let me get out of this. And tomorrow, I will tell you this right now, because we're going to have some fun with this. Tomorrow is Max Crosby trade discussion day. Is it a good idea? What all would it take? What all would it cost? What would it do to the Lions window? We'll get into all that on Saturday. Until then, Jefferson signing off. Be good to one another.